Our first speaker for today, ladies and gentlemen, is the perfect way to kickstart the second day of TiECON Chennai 2017, a stalwart in the business world and a force to reckon with. He is the chairman of Piramal Group and Shriram Group. Here to address on building a homegrown global enterprise, please put your hands together and let's welcome on stage the very dynamic Mr. Ajay Piramal.
Good morning, Mr. Shankar, Mr. Chandu Nair, distinguished guests, and fellow entrepreneurs. Let me congratulate TiECON on its 10th anniversary and the tremendous work that you all have done in the Chennai chapter, being one of the best performing chapters across TiECON, and all that you're doing to encourage entrepreneurship. India has been and will always be a land of entrepreneurs. In fact, compared to most other countries, businesses, large and small, are run by entrepreneurs and by people who have families who have started these businesses. So it is a great role that you all are all playing. I really like the tagline of TiECON: dare or dream, dare and do. And whilst I was flying into Chennai this morning, I thought of a story. It reminded me of Panini, the great philosopher of ancient India, who actually gave us the rules of Sanskrit grammar, amongst other things. So Panini was a young boy, and as is with many of us, he went to an astrologer and somebody who saw his palm. And the palmist said, when he looked at his palm, that, learning and education is not for you. There are many things that you can be good at, but this is not your destiny doesn't show that, because you don't have that line of learning. Panini was not a person to give up easily and to get disappointed. He went home, next day came with a knife and actually put a line across his palm and then showed it to the palmist and said, "Now do you think I have a line?" And hence said that your future doesn't lie in your palm, but in the power of your fist. And in that sense, when people say that many of us are fatalistic, I think that's incorrect. And this is what TiECON is all out to do: to dream and to dare. And when you look at the history of all successful Indian businesses, these are people who have dared to do something different. I remember the story of my grandfather. He was in a small village in Rajasthan and was doing, they had some land and they would grow food, and that's how they would survive. It was a village, there was no connectivity, as you can imagine, in the early 1900s, but decided to dare to come to Bombay with 50 rupees and start a business. So he obviously, when he did that, people were wondering, why is he taking so much risk? Why is he so foolish, etc., as I'm sure many of you must have also experienced. But I think if one has to succeed, one needs to often travel the path less traveled. I have seen it in my own life, and today I'm going to talk a bit about my own experiences, not because I like talking about myself, but more to just give you examples as to what has succeeded and what has not. So my family was in the textile business. The business, for various reasons, was going through extremely challenging times. And that's the time when, and for personal circumstances, I was asked to head the business at a very young age of less than 30. But one of the big decisions that I took was to enter into a totally new business. From textiles, we went into pharmaceuticals. And that was in some ways the turning point for us. If you would say, is there any similarity between textiles and pharmaceuticals? There is not. They are as different as any two businesses can be. Textile, as many people should be knowing here, because Tamil Nadu is a big textile center, is all about commodity. Textile is all about manufacturing. It's all about huge fixed assets. And pharmaceuticals is just the opposite. It's all about intellectual property, about marketing, branding, about sales. But we decided to go in it because we felt that that was the future. So the lesson that I have learned is that entrepreneurs are the ones who have to go to the path less traveled. And that is when you will get, the likelihood of success is higher. Coming to, again, your tagline of dream, I'm going to give you a quotation which has inspired our group right from the beginning. It's a quotation from the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, it said, "You are what your deep driving desire is. As is your desire, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. And as is your deed, so is your destiny." So the key words, I just want to keep repeating this because this has had such a big influence on us. First is that you need to have a deep driving desire. The second part of this is that then you have to have the will to do what is your deep driving desire. If you just dream, or if you just have a desire and don't take it forward, it will just remain a dream, or it will remain a desire. But that deep driving desire, which gets converted into your will to do something, and that will converts itself into some deed, into action, then you can shape your own destiny. And this I have found really work very often with us. I will give you just one example. In 1988, we entered into the pharmaceutical industry, as I said. We did that by a small acquisition of a company, a multinational in India. And in the ranks of in the market share, we were ranked 48. We had no experience of pharmaceuticals, but in a crazy moment, or I would say in that deep driving desire, or in that moment when you dream, we made a presentation to our board to say that from 48, by the turn of the century, we will get to amongst the top 5. People thought it was crazy. People thought it was a young person, just having dreams and talking and enthusiastic, but not more than that. But we converted that deep driving desire in the next few years into a will. We aligned all the people to do action. And what really happened in 2000 was that we became amongst the top 5. When we thought of it, it was not a clear strategy. So sometimes, we get bogged down that we need to have a strategy. Actually, in my view, strategy evolves as you go. You learn, there is a direction, a broad direction you have, and then it keeps evolving over time. And as you keep learning, you'll make mistakes, but as you go ahead, you can achieve this. And this is not the only time we've done it. It has been done repeatedly, but I just want to leave you with this one example. Another learning I've seen is that very often, and when you read stories of people who have made something in their lives, you feel that it's always been an upward journey. Everybody has been successful. It's a bed of roses and things work out. But actually, that's far from the truth. Every one of us has to face challenges in our journey of entrepreneurship. Whether it is challenges in your own personal life, it could be challenges in the business, it could be challenges of, there could be an earthquake, there could be anything beyond your control. Within your control, you can make mistakes. So let me say that everybody, at least whoever I have met, has had challenges in their life. But to be successful as an entrepreneur, and I think in some ways that's the key, that challenges can provide huge opportunities for us. And it is only because you get challenges, I believe, that you can get opportunities. Again, if we had not had problems in our textile business, it was a challenge. How do you face it? We would not have got into pharmaceuticals. Or I'll give you another example. We had a pharmaceutical manufacturing unit in the heart of Mumbai. Can you imagine a pharmaceutical chemical unit in the heart of the city where you are surrounded by all of residential complexes and all? It is a safety hazard. Also, it's a very high-cost manufacturing place. Also, you cannot expand because you're limited. So everything was challenged. And it was a loss-making business. So we had to apply our mind. And after some time, came up with the concept that we could convert this into a shopping complex. And the first shopping mall in the country, which I don't know if some of you are familiar with Mumbai, was Crossroads, which was built on this. This had the most successful shopping complex in the country then. And therefore, it was this challenge of a loss-making business which we could convert and enter into a whole new area of real estate development and shopping complexes. I was listening to Mr. Nair and Mr. Shankar, and you all talked about how mentors are, how TiE provides for mentorship. To me, one of the key things that I have learned in my career is that the association of good people is the most important thing for anybody. Sangat, as we call it. Whether it is in mentorship, whether it is in your board, whether it is in the type of people, your friends, whether it's the type of people you work with, it is the association of good people. What is the definition, in my view, of good people? Good people for me are those who have good values, who you are associated with, or who associate with you, not because you give them just financial gain or some other gain, but because they don't need to be associated. They are so good that there are so many people who want to be associated with them that they are doing you a favor. Then that's the only time when you will get good, honest advice. And that is very important for young entrepreneurs. Many of you do not have come from environments when you don't get the support of family and all. Some of us have been born in business families. Many of us are not. So it is very important to get the right sort of people around you, because this is a tough journey. It's also, there are many, many attractions on the way, or many ways you can get deviate. But in the end, it is these people who will keep us on the right path. So let me give you this one piece which I have learned with experience. Please associate yourself with good people. In my experience, now it's 40 years, there's one other thing that I have found which has consistently worked well for us, and I thought I will share it with you, is to have, right from day one, a value-based organization. What do I mean by value? I mean, we have values which we call knowledge, action, care, impact. But it's not, what is important is that we have to have a good value-based organization. And I see in many companies, and especially the big ones, and especially global companies, as soon as you will enter the boardroom, they will talk about values. There will be a nice, on any presentation, corporate presentation will begin with values. But that's not as important, or it's not at all important. What is important is for all of us in our businesses to live by those values. And at the end of the day, these values are, you may feel good about it, but at the end of the day, values create economic value. And let me give you a few examples of that. Everybody talks about our group as being quite successful in mergers and acquisitions. But one of the things why have we been more successful than most? Most people say that data shows that almost 75% of acquisitions actually are not successful. In our case, we've been fortunate that more than 90% have been successful. So why is it? I think from day one, we decided that we will follow any agreement that we have as a buyer in letter and spirit. So when we went into the pharmaceutical industry, we acquired, as I said, a small multinational in India, which had global brands. And two conditions were put by the sellers. One is that we needed to have quality which was international standard, because the same brands were sold in India as they were sold rest of the world. And if you have a problem in a brand in one country, it can have ramifications globally. The second condition was put that we could not export those products, because as you know, the costs in India of drugs is much lower. So we decided that we needed to follow it in letter and spirit, which meant we had to make much more investment in manufacturing, in quality. We had to forego the revenue of export. And we did it. So some people would have told us, why do you want to do it? But we found that this was the single most important reason why every company after that, any multinational wanted to exit out of India in pharmaceuticals, we were the first port of call. And not only that, we invariably, in every acquisition, paid lower than what others did. And this spread not only in pharmaceuticals, in every other place, every other industry that we've done. Therefore, values actually ultimately create economic value. And evidence of this is that in 1988, if somebody would have invested in the stock market in our company, the value was, or if you invested 100,000 rupees then, today, that value would be 20 crores today. So therefore, and it is, so a 30% annualized return for 29 years, year on year, there are not that many companies. I think there must be less than 5 companies in the country to have done it for such a long period. But I would say that the main reason for this is values, which create economic value. One of the things that I read, I remember in the good old days, Time magazine, people used to read it, or with a printed version. And several years ago, I read an article by somebody which said what priorities one must have in life as when you start or when you are in a business. And that has stuck in my mind, and I thought I will share that with you. So the first priority, actually, if you fly, when you take off, they give you the safety announcement. And what do they say? They say that, in the case of lowering of oxygen, if there's less, the oxygen mask will come down, and please use the mask before, put it on yourself before, and then use it with the person next door, sitting next to you. So similarly, I think the priorities are first, health. If one doesn't look after one's health, you can't do anything else in business. So that is health. The second priority I learned is family. If you don't have a supportive family, it's challenging, and not all of us have it, but it's more challenging, let's say. And the third is your own business. So if one prioritizes that, I think there's more chance of success. At least I found that, and I thought I'll share. My final point is that one must have a purpose in whatever we do. Our group has the purpose of doing well, doing good, and making a positive difference to the world around us. And why have we said doing well and doing good? In whatever we do, in whatever business we do, we have to do it well, otherwise you cannot survive. but it should also contribute good to make a positive difference. So whether it's pharmaceuticals, it's obvious. But even if it is in financing, which is also a large business, I think it not only do we have to do well, but we do good, because that's how you spur investment. That's how you get economic growth. In every business, it should have that component of, it's not, it has to be doing well and good, not either well or either good, and make a positive difference. Why do we say we make a positive difference? Because I think, first of all, to be born as a human being is a privilege, I think. After several millions of births, they say you get born as a human being. Then to be educated, then to have an opportunity to do business is again a rare privilege. And human beings have the only living organisms which have the right to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, and to make a difference. And therefore, it is an obligation. If you have got the privilege of being a human being, it is our obligation to give back, to make it a better world. And that's why we in our group give huge importance to that. In terms of education today, we are working with several state governments and the center to improve school learning levels. And today, on a daily basis, we are touching the lives of 10 million students. In healthcare, again working with state governments, we are touched the lives of more than 80 million beneficiaries, and in clean drinking water as well. So at the end, do we have a video which I have got? I want to just leave you with, this is the sort of anthem we have for our social activities. These are all real life across the country what we are working in. I thought it's nice, at least I get inspired by it. I hope it makes an impact. To give you a background, it was written by Rabindranath Tagore in the early 1900s in Bengali. We translated it into Hindi, and now it is there for you to see. So before I put it on, I just wanted to summarize one more time what I said. I think your dream, dare, and do logo is the one which really inspires me. Remember the example of, I spoke about the example of Panini. I spoke about going on the path less traveled, the Upanishad quote of deep driving desire, how one can convert challenges are really the gateway to opportunities, the association of good people, values, priorities, and purpose. Thank you.
कितने दिए मुस्काए हैं तू देख ले आंगन में मंदिर के तेरे सारे आए हैं शुभ शंख गूंजे जा अंजनी रात का कर अंत तू, अब दे प्रकाश तुरंत तू। तेरे पथ के राही आए हैं, शुभ शंख गूंजे जाए हैं, शुभ शंख गूंजे जाए हैं। मानव की जय, मानवता की जय हो, तपस्या की विजय। जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, दामिनी का सिंहासन हो, माँ का आश्वासन हो, सब श्रद्धालु आओ रे, देश धन्य बनाओ रे। योग वालो, त्याग वालो, अनंत पीड़ा पाने वालों। आओ रे अपराजित और शक्तिशाली बंधन मुक्त रे। आओ ज्ञानी, आओ कर्मी, देश के दाग मिटाओ रे। पुण्यकाणी गौरवशाली, आओ सीमा महिमाशाली। पुण्यकाणी गौरवशाली, आओ सीमा महिमाशाली। आओ सूरज है चमकता, कर्म भूमि सजाओ रे। धर्म साहस कर्म सत्य, जग का मन जीत जाओ रे। शुभ शंख गूंजे जाए। मानव की जय, मानवता की जय हो, तपस्या की विजय। जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, जय
What an amazing video that was. I'm sure all of you are really proud of all the amazing homegrown global enterprises that India have. And also, can we give a huge round of applause for our session speaker, Mr. Ajay Piramal, for absolutely inspiring all the audiences here, for taking time out of his busy schedule and joining us and motivating all of us to dream, dare, and do. I'm sure they're going to all take your message back with them home. All right, we have a small surprise for all our dear team. We have a special shout out going out to all of you, a special message and an address from none other than the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, presenting to you a special message from Shri Suresh Prabhu. I'm going to request, ladies and gentlemen, to divert your attention to the screen.
Tamil Nadu's biggest entrepreneur conclave, TiECON Chennai 2017 is taking place. Look at it as a great opportunity for all of you to come together and give us ideas. Tamil Nadu is one of our most developed states. Tamil Nadu is a place where the most ancient, one of the most historical culture and ideas are seen in Tamil literature. Tamil Nadu has been one of our most developed part of the world at that particular time. Today it's one of the developed state in India. So we look forward to working with you. I am unfortunately traveling, so not able to join you, but offer you my best wishes. Thank you very much.